Hey! Ladies and gentlemen and all car business enthusiasts, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Chicks in Charge Automotive Edition. I am Shasta.
And I'm Jess.
And we are thrilled to introduce you to a remarkable individual who is reshaping the landscape of the automotive industry.
That is right, Shasta. Today we have the privilege of sitting down with a trailblazer who's driving change in more ways than one. Please join us in giving a warm virtual welcome to Ashlee Church, the General Manager at Volkswagen of Marion.
Hi, guys. I'm so excited to hang out with you for a while today.
Oh, we're so excited to have you.
Yes.
It has been such a long time overdue.
Hi, Robin.
Kind of scared. She says, "Hey, friends." Oh, hello. How are you today?
Oh, I am wonderful. I don't know if you guys have a heat wave going on where you're at, but if you guys see me like trying to cool myself off today, it is hot. But I'm so excited to get to spend some time with y'all, talk about the industry, culture, all things automotive. I'm sure that we could go on and on for hours, but I mean, we'll dive into it and see what happens.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we are so excited. And yes, it is hot here. I think that we had a heat index of 122 yesterday.
Yeah, we're not quite that hot, but we're similar.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's insane.
So I know that you're familiar with a lot of our audience, and a lot of our
Yeah.
audience is familiar with you, but if you will, just give a little bit of intro about who you are, where you started, and how you've gotten to where you are.
Sure. I am from a car dealer family. So my grandfather started our company. He was back in the glory days of sales, right? When you were a great salesperson, he got his first Buick dealership and had the opportunity to move here to Southern Illinois. The dealership that he had acquired previously in Vincennes, Indiana, sold 26 cars the year before he bought it. And in his first month, he sold 26. So he was a trailblazer in his own right. But I mean, I really grew up in the industry. I've worked in the industry since 2001. I started filing ROs back when there were hard copies on Reynolds and Reynolds. I don't know if any of our viewers remember that, but you had to flag all the things, and we filed them in the Haas service department. So on a day like today, just dripping sweat out there, nobody wanted that job.
Yep.
And I started at minimum wage in the office, and over the years have kind of worked my way up. I always swore that I would never get a 10-year plaque from my family's company, though. So at 9 years and 7 months, I had my MBA, and I said, peace out, car business. And I left the industry for what I thought was forever. I went to work for an Inc. 5000 company, an incredible female entrepreneur named Teresa Katubig. And wow, was it a culture shock for me, because I had went from my whole life working in a male-dominated industry to working in a female-dominated industry overnight. So that was a change. I got the opportunity to teach at McKendree University. And so I took a step back from that role and came back to the dealership at that time. And that's when we really started actively pursuing Volkswagen. So we are in a rural market. It's a very interesting market that we're in. It's actually called a micropolitan. So very different than a metropolitan in that our population in Marion is only 18,000, but our daytime population is 100,000. So we are kind of in this economic hub along our Route 13 corridor where people come for work, shopping, entertainment, travel. Really only about 40% of the people that work in our county actually live in our county. So because we are a rural area, people flock to Marion in order to do business. And because of that, it was really difficult to convince Volkswagen, who only had at the time, I think 652 dealerships, that they should open a franchise here. So many of the other manufacturers have, thousands and thousands of dealerships. So we convinced Volkswagen to open a point. We got the chance to present in Chicago to the team, and it was a competitive process. They said that giving us a franchise was the easiest decision that they had ever made.
Good.
And long story short, I became the first employee of Volkswagen of Marion. That was in 2014. And we've been doing the thing ever since. And it's hard to believe that it's been 9 years. We're going to be celebrating our 10th anniversary soon. And it's really been my honor and my privilege to be a part of building this team from day one, to be able to have the autonomy to build a team, to be able to fix not that we're perfect, but to be able to make improvements on all the things that I saw growing up that I was just like, I'd like to do it a little bit different than that. But really have learned from the beginning from my grandpa that it's all about taking care of your employees, all about your customers, about the lifetime value of a customer. And one thing I feel like we just miss in automotive is when we manage by a monthly financial statement, and don't get me wrong, numbers are important. We miss so much of the big picture on what is important 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And so it's really been an honor and a privilege. We are one of the top ranked Volkswagen dealerships in the state of Illinois in terms of our market share. So we've done a really great job building the business, and I have an absolutely incredible team here. My personal mission that's kind of transitioned into our team's mission is to change the stereotype of the car business. And when I say that, it's not just for our customers, it's also for the people who come to work here. I want people to want to work in automotive.
Yeah.
When I told my mom I wanted to stay in automotive, she encouraged me to do something else. She's like, why don't you get a law degree? Why don't you go and be an attorney? Like, why do you want to be in the car business? And over the years, I've said, man, wouldn't it be something if this was the generation that we changed things so that the women who are in the automotive industry today want their daughters to be in the automotive industry in the future. Yep. So that's a little bit about me, my team, and we kind of our hashtag here at the dealership is not like the other guys. And while some people may think, oh, that's a catchy marketing slogan, it's really what we try and live up to each and every day in all of our client interactions and also in all of our interactions with our team members as well.
That's amazing. That was probably one of the best intros we've ever had.
Well, thank you.
I really love that, Ashlee, because I have 3 little girls at home. So I've got 3 daughters. I'm a girl mom. I don't have any boys. And you said something in that, and you said, we want the industry to be something that where we want our daughters to go when they're older. And my 9-year-old to this day will tell you when she gets older, she is going to sell cars.
That's awesome.
One way or the other, whether it's selling cars as a vendor like mom, or whether it's in the dealership selling cars. And that's her thing. And I'm so excited for her to be able to watch Shasta and I and all of the amazing women in the industry. Mm-hmm. I mean, I bought Melanie Borden's book, My Mommy Sells Cars.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yes, it's a paperback book
that's awesome.
on Amazon, and I love it so much. And
it'll be in my car as soon as we're done with this show. I'm a dog mom, so I don't think that they're going to grow up to sell cars someday. But I am hopeful that we're going to change this for so many women in our industry and really show people what kind of opportunity that we have in automotive. Because when you work for the right dealership, the opportunities are really incredible here.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said something earlier that made me curious. So you chose Volkswagen. Volkswagen didn't choose you. So how did you come upon the decision to seek out Volkswagen in specific and want that franchise out of all of them?
Oh, boy. Well, I didn't know you were going to ask that question. So one thing that I am a pro at is I am a professional pivoter. I always joke that if something ever happens here and I've got to get a job and update my resume, I'm going to change my title from general manager to professional pivoter. Because the reason that we solicited Volkswagen was because of the diesel engine and the TDI. And I don't know if y'all remember what happened, but we don't have diesel engines and we don't have the TDI anymore. Ford F-150 is the #1 seller in our market. We are in a rural area, in a rural market. So we really solicited Volkswagen because they had the TDI. But since then, we've been able to develop the brand. And when we opened, I think we had less than 200 vehicles in operation in our area because the closest service center was 2 hours away. So we were really looking for a brand that we could partner with, that we knew brought quality to our products and that German engineering, and really looking for a brand that, there wasn't one just next door or down the road. And I love VW, right? If anybody knows me anything, and you see all this stuff that people have brought me in my office, I'm known as the VW lady and the dog lady. So it's just been so cool. And VW has this great historical nostalgia about it, everything from the Beetle to the Bus, but our new product lines are so incredible. And it's really just been awesome being able to build a brand and not only a team and a dealership, but there were no Volkswagens here when we started. So sometimes it's easy to lose sight of, like, the longer that you do this and the more monotonous it comes. But there are days that I'm driving to work and I'll stop at a 4-way intersection and I'll see 4 or 5 Volkswagens at the same intersection. And I'm just like, dang, my team did that.
Yep. That's amazing. I used to do that when I worked in the Kia store here locally. It brings such an awareness to you of, looking at all the vehicles on the road. And at the time, the store that I worked at had, I want to say 15% market share in a town of 50,000. But we were the same way that Marion is, where you get triple that in a day just because people drive to work here. and just seeing all of the Kias, and then not just the Kias, but then the badge of the dealership on there too. And you're like, look at that.
Oh yeah. You're like pounding your chest. And I see Robin popping up here. Great swag. There is no brand in automotive that has better driver gear and swag than Volkswagen. So if you see me out on a weekend, you can guarantee that I've got a VW hat on and VW clothes. I'm all decked out. So we do have some really great swag.
I love that.
I know she still wants another hat.
Oh, yes. And you have an awesome, she literally just commented, my fave hat ever. And you have a great swag selection in the store too.
Yeah, we have a whole driver gear area. It's a little boutique. And I mean, we can't even fit a fraction of what VW sells into our little boutique area. But there's so much cool stuff. And it's just a really fun brand to be a part of.
Mm-hmm. It is. And they're staying with the times too. They're you know, the new, I want to say it's called the Buzz. The new bus is
the ID Buzz. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. The fact that they could get a vehicle that big to be electric is, Kim Baker says he needs some swag. He's not far from you either. He's only over in Indiana.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So right next door.
Yep. Yeah. So this brings such a fun topic to us. All of the things that you do to be proactive, not just in the community, but with your team. Yep. What are some of the more important things? We were talking a little bit ahead of time about how even you do hiring and how it's different than, you know, what we generally hear in the automotive industry. What would you say is the most important thing that you and your team do when looking for candidates?
Well, and before you answer that, I want to say something real quick, Ashlee, is because I think that's something that is so admirable about you that you bring to not only your store, but the industry is your diversity and inclusion that you do have in the store.
Yeah. So one of my favorite sayings is that we're deliberately diverse and we're intentionally inclusive. And that does not mean people will come up to me at conferences and they'll be like, how do you get your male managers to hire women? First tip, don't tell them they have to hire women because that's not what they want to hear, right? But what we do talk about is we talk about the fact that we want our team to reflect our customer base, that we want people to feel comfortable here. It is amazing to me the number of women that come into the dealership. And my sales floor is 50% women right now. It has fluctuated a little bit over the years, but we're proud to be 50% women. My top 3 sales reps on the board for last month are all women.
Yes, and I love that.
It's amazing how even when a female and her daughter, let's say that she's shopping for her 16-year-old and they come in and husband is out of town for work and they feel so comfortable. And they may not have even worked with one of the female sales associates. Maybe they worked with one of my guys on the floor. But just by looking around and feeling like this is somewhere that I belong, I'm not scared to be here. It has such an impact. But to bring it back around to hiring, I think that what I could say the most important thing that we do is we dedicate the time. My sales reps, I just did a sales rep hiring class and I interviewed for 3 straight weeks. I had my calendar completely blocked off. We scheduled interviews with over 90 unique candidates. We had about a 50% show rate on that, and that was with text and email confirmations. Wow. Of those, I passed along 4 candidates to a second round of interviews. So we try and spend an extensive amount of time up front to make sure that the people that we bring on are going to be a good fit for our team and a good fit for our customer base. We were kind of talking before we came on the show too, about, you know, I'm trying to figure out how to articulate my words here. In automotive, performance is important. And I don't want to discount the importance of performance. But I tell all of my team members on the first day that performance does not negate cultural fit within our team and being expected to uphold our core values. And you can be the highest performer on the sales floor. You can be the technician that turns the most hours in the shop. And the reality is, if you can't uphold our core values, you can't work here because my team deserves better than that. And my client base deserves better than that.
Absolutely.
And going back to the time and dedicating. So not only I still to this day, 9 years later, am the person who sits in the quote unquote accountability seat of hiring for our store. That's a very intentional reason because I want to be the person that helps hand select the team that we bring on and that our team is going to invest in. Not that other managers aren't part of the process. They most certainly are. But it's so important. And my reps that just came through in sales training did not talk to a client face-to-face on a showroom visit for about 60 days after they were hired.
Whoa.
And if you would post that in a variety of the Facebook groups that I'm in, I would be completely crucified and completely blasted for having that philosophy. But I believe that I need time with them. We need to teach them the right way to do things. I prefer to hire people who don't have industry experience. So that brings in its own unique challenges as well. And also it helps us to have better retention. So once they get on the floor, they actually know what they're doing. The other unique thing that we tried this time with hiring is to come up with a pairing system to where in their first month on the floor, all of my new hires were paired with a veteran sales rep. They were paired with a veteran sales rep who was compensated for half of their deals. So if the new hire sales rep sold 6 cars, the other sales rep got the equivalent of 3 additional units on their pay plan. But here's the kicker. We didn't take half of those car deals from the new hires that we're trying to bring on and motivate. And it is amazing to me, not only that our team is more skilled, that we are more confident in them when we put them on the floor, but the level of cohesion within the team is so much greater when you don't bring them in and put them into competition on day 2 together, right? Who's this new person? Who's this new lady? Who's this new guy that I'm suddenly competing with? And by putting them on a longer structure to where it's really 100 days before they're in direct competition, they have had time to get to know each other. They've had time to build a bond with each other. They've had time to figure out that, hey, that guy's pretty cool. They're pretty awesome. And they learn to work together. And we've set it up to where the existing reps, the veteran reps, have been mutually invested in the success of bringing up our current team. So that is a strategy that I will definitely continue because it worked really well with this last round of onboarding that we did.
Well, and it helps with leadership too, with your veteran reps, seeing how well they can lead somebody else when you're looking to grow your management staff or elevate people, and then you have an open manager spot.
Sure.
You then know, after watching each of them coach a newer employee, you get to see how they would perform in that role. And I think that's so imperative in our industry because you never want to bring in a cold manager from another store. You always want that to be internal and somebody who already knows your culture, knows your store, and knows the right way to do things. And I can't think of a better way to find a better leader.
Yeah. And I think one of the really cool things is sometimes even the person who's not the top performer has something unique to offer to the team. Like I said earlier, we value the contributions of every single person that's on our team, whether or not they're the top performer. And sometimes the people that can help the new hires the most isn't the person that was on the top of the board last month. They can help with different kinds of skill sets. I have one rep that might be really great with the CRM. I have another rep that might be better with video than other reps, another rep that might have a better social media presence. And by allowing them to spend time with all of those different reps, in addition to me, so our last round, so I am actually hiring right now for a sales and training manager in our store. We do have a career website. We are not like the other guys.com. So if you're interested in the position, we can definitely would love to speak with you. We have a really unique setup in our store though. So I do not have a BDC. My reps handle everything from cradle to grave. And not only do they sell cars, they also acquire inventory. And we were actually featured in Automotive News as a best practice for how we have integrated our acquisition strategy onto our sales floor. And they handle all of those things. So it's kind of a hybrid, almost like a BDC internet sales team manager role, but it's a true sales manager position that desks and appraises cars and has all of those things as well, because our team is directly handling the leads as well. So that's another opportunity that we have available in the store. I have had that position open for a year, and I will not hire until I find the right candidate for that position. So I am slow to hire. I want to make sure that we get the right person, the right time. I want to make sure that it's going to work, not just for us, but also for the member of the team that we're bringing on. And so that our team also has confidence that I'm not just going to bring in any random person. And I've interviewed some really fantastic candidates that was so hard to say no to because they weren't the right fit for that seat. They might have been the right person and they might have been a great fit on my team. And I loved some of them and I loved some of their values. But really, I think that our expectations in general, just to kind of bring this back to a higher level in the automotive industry, our expectations are changing of what a sales manager is. No longer is the most valuable person in the dealership the person who can go out and build rapport on the showroom floor and close a deal. Now the most valuable person in the store is sometimes the person who can handle those internet opportunities, can help us convert them to appointments, and can handle online communications. Because let me tell you, when we get customers in the door, we don't have any problem with our closing rate.
Good.
But our opportunity lies inside the CRM. And so many people just think, oh, the CRM's another tool and it's something that I don't want to have to mess with. And like, we need an admin to handle that, because like that's an admin's job, not a sales manager job. But that's where the opportunity lies in our
so much gold in your CRM.
Yeah, if the sales managers would honestly just log in and look at their internet leads and how, you know, whether it's their sales team handling them or a BDC, see the missed opportunities because of a lack of training. And the fact that, I mean, I have more experience than anybody on my team, and there's times where I log in and look at leads and just say, oh my gosh, that's not how I would have handled it. I think that there's a little bit of an opportunity here that their lack of experience didn't allow them to see. And I know that the perfect trained person would be that same way, where they would find those opportunities falling through the cracks. And it may just be a few, but if that's 2 to 3 extra car deals a month, that's still more than you have.
I mean, people are protective of their personal information on average, not everyone, but let's be honest. We don't get hundreds of leads that come into our system every month because people just decided that they want to go and give us their phone number, their first and last name, their address, and their email address. Right? But we look at it and we say, oh, that's just a lead. And in our store, we don't even really, I mean, we use the term lead because it kind of goes with the CRM and the verbiage that people see. But I mean, those are opportunities. They're not really leads. And I see Bobby popping on. She'll be the first to back me on that one. They're not leads. They're opportunities.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's true. And they're looked at as a headache sometimes. When those are hot customers raising their hand saying, hey, I want more information, please give me more information. And, you know, a lot of teams will just barely touch at it and not even share the culture of the store. That's something I learned last night, because I have never personally myself used KBB as a consumer. And I did for the first time last night. And I was actually just telling Jess and Robin about this earlier. I did not remember, and I'm 10 years I've been in this industry, I did not remember clicking a box anywhere that said you can reach out to me. All I wanted was the offer. I then had 3 dealerships in the next 12 hours reach out to me. I unsubscribed from 2 of them, and one of the ones I unsubscribed from then texted me from a cell phone, which is illegal.
Yeah.
And but I never told a dealership that I wanted to be reached out to. But that opportunity right there is so important.
But that's also why it's so important to train with our teams, right? You know, in that time that we talked about being in training with the team and I was back there, my team sat down and they did KBB leads and they went through the process and they did trade pending and they saw how that varies. And they went out on our website and they submitted, you know, pre-approval, and how is that different than a credit application? And we talked about how these people are in different parts of the buying cycle and different parts of the funnel and different strategies to contact those customers. Because you're right, Shasta, if you just call and say, hey, this is Ashlee from Volkswagen of Marion calling about your instant cash offer, you're going to be like, who are you? I didn't ask VW of Marion to call me. But if your tone is more, hey, this is Ashlee and I'm with the Kelley Blue Book buying team here at Volkswagen of Marion, all of a sudden now we have aligned ourselves with that partner or that vendor that we are, you know, integrated with. But it's so important for our team. It's amazing to me how many people are answering leads that have never went online and submitted a lead like they were a consumer.
Yes. You have to know how that journey, Bobby, can I get an amen? You have to know how that journey is, because and it's one of the reasons why we even started our BDC. But when people are handling leads that they don't know the journey, that's one of the fastest ways to lose an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Right.
And having that training that you do with your sales team and teaching them, hey, this is this lead source, this is how we acquired this opportunity, this is how we got to this one, and the difference even between KBB and trade pending. That's something that maybe a lot of dealers or, you know, BDC reps, anybody handling opportunities out there may not know, but there's a big difference in how both of those leads are acquired. And so knowing before you ever hop on the phone how to handle one versus the other could be the difference in a 5 to 10% change in your show and sold rate.
Absolutely.
We have a question.
From the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, so we're going to get dirty here.
From Ashlee's perspective, could you give us a glimpse or examples of the good, the bad, and the ugly as far as the difference between a vendor versus a dealer-partner relationship? Okay. Ooh, I know you can speak so well on this.
I can. Yes. So to me, a vendor is transactional. I write you a check every month. The leads come into my CRM. I don't talk to you. Maybe we do a monthly call, but I mean, it could have been an email, or it could have been a PowerPoint that you sent over. Our partners are the people who are mutually invested in our success.
Yes.
And when I say mutually invested in our success, I don't mean that they don't get canceled if their product doesn't perform. What I mean is that those are the people that at 10 p.m., if I pick up the phone and call and I say, hey, we're having a struggle in our store, they say, what can I do to help you? What can I do to better understand your store? The partners to me are the people who say, hey, Ashlee, I want to know how you sell cars in your store. I want to know what your core values are. I want to know what is different about your team compared to other people in the industry. And I want to learn with you. And we are not successful the first time, every time, right? But the partners are the people who are there kicking and screaming, sometimes helping you drag your team along. I mean, I mentioned that Automotive News best practice article on acquisition strategy. I can tell you that my team would have done cartwheels for 2.5 years if I would have walked in and said, we're turning off all the acquisition leads and you guys don't have to answer them anymore. They'd have been like, hallelujah, can we go out for drinks? We need to celebrate because this doesn't work. But we knew we drug them kicking and screaming sometimes to a place where it worked, and we showed them it worked, and we found a process that worked. And the people who are true partners are the ones that buy in with your team just as much as with a GM or a sales manager. My sales team members know the people that I consider partners. They have their cell phone numbers. They are the people that when they come into the store, they want to know about the college class that you just took and that you were really successful with it. They want to know about your kids, about your life ambitions, about your goals. Yep. And the partners are the people that want to align themselves on a higher level. I don't think that we necessarily have to get into too much of the nitty gritty on the bad side of vendors, because I think that that's so well known in our industry that there's just simply, all I'll say is that there are a lot of people who are there to take your money, to tell you that you aren't doing things wrong or aren't doing things right without ever taking the time to understand you, your process, and what your goals are.
Absolutely.
Well, and I imagine you've probably heard
and
that.
They come to visit. Yes, the partners come to visit.
Yeah, Robin says, and they come to visit, and that's something important we've learned too. But I've imagined that you've heard plenty of the well, this isn't the way you should be doing it because you're so different than the other guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that it's not a vendor's place to say, right. Or even, I mean, and I can't say dealer partner at that point, because if they were a true partner, they would know we're going to pivot and not make the store pivot to what we want. Because
yeah, and I think that kind of goes back to what our goals are, right? And as I said at the beginning when I opened, my grandfather taught me that there's a lot of things that are more important than just what goes on this month. It's next month, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And so many people in our industry are just automatically conditioned to, I can't tell you how many vendors will call and say, hey, we'll give you a free 30-day trial of my product. Any vendors who are watching, don't try that pitch with me. It's not going to work. Yep. I am not onboarding your product for a free 30-day trial if we don't have a need for it, if we're not going to be intentional about it, and if we're not going to be committed to it when we onboard, right? And there's so much in the vendor world that's just like, hey, try this, and like, I'll be successful. But to your point about people telling you that the way you're doing it isn't the right way, all I'll say to that is people call you crazy, and then they call you for advice.
Yes,
exactly.
Amen.
Because most of the time, people who are swimming against the flow are the people that in 6 months, everyone's like, oh my God, They had it figured out before the rest of us.
Yep.
Right. And success may look different for me. We are in a lower volume store, but I have no desire to be in a metro market, in a metro store. I love my team. I love my store. Does it mean that I want to sell more cars? Absolutely. I always want more. I always want my team to do better. I always want them to have more personal success so that the store can have more success as well. But what success looks like to me isn't what my paycheck is this month. Success to me looks different in terms of 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, and really being a part of a team. I tell people, yes, I sell cars. Yes, we service cars. But at the end of the day, that stuff isn't the stuff that gets me excited. The stuff that gets me excited and up in the morning is feeling like I'm making a difference. And my team gets to feel like they make a difference every day when we come to work.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I don't know if she's still here. Courtney Pascal was watching earlier, and we
Hi,
had
Courtney.
done an episode with her that was all about being involved in your community.
Yes.
And I know just from knowing you personally that is something that is also very near and dear to your heart and the entire team there at Volkswagen of Marion. What would you say kind of led you? I mean, and it may just be something that even your grandfather did, Ike, because that's such a big name in your area, but what led you to making sure that you are always involved in the community?
Yeah, I mean, I think from a young age, it was just always beat into my head that your community is the people who support you. And so many people have, this philosophy of like, again, if we spend money today, you go to an ADA Academy, and I love an ADA Academy. I'm a graduate, right? But there's this formula, right? If you spend X this month, you need to recoup that investment within X number. It needs to provide a X number of times return on investment. And while financial management is important in the dealership, sometimes you have to lead with your heart and with your gut. And you have to know that when we do, I have this saying, and it's if we do the right thing, it's generally always the most profitable thing in the end. It may not be this month on the financial statement, but a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We talk about retention on our sales floor. Does anybody think that your sales reps like to sell someone a car who comes back 6 weeks later and their transmission's out, and we're going to send that sales rep to go tell the customer that we're not going to do anything for them because they declined the warranty in the finance office, and then we expect to retain that person while we're sitting here paying managers an exorbitant amount of money? No, right? So I think that so much goes into the culture. Part of our core values is that we commit to resolving problems quickly and fairly. And everyone in my service department does that. If somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, Ashlee, I resolved the problem and it cost us this dollar amount," I'm not even going to blink an eye. But I think that you have to be prepared for that. You have to plan for that financially, and you have to build that into your profitability over time. I have slush funds all over the place, so that when things like that happen, we don't have to take a hit on our bottom line for this month, that there's an account that's already got money banked into it, and we just keep rolling. We take care of the problem. And wow, is my life so much less stressful when we just resolve customers' problems instead of them ending up in my office.
Yeah, right. Because your customer retention at that point will be so high because they're always going to remember the people who treated them right and treated them like family. And, if there was something that we did that didn't, live up to your standards, they got you in this position, we're going to do anything we can to fix it. Even if we didn't do anything,
Sure,
we're still going to be here for you and be that person that helps solve this for you so that you're not having to wonder, how you're getting to work tomorrow.
Right. And, to go back to the community piece of it, our community is our livelihood. And I'm not saying that I would operate differently if I was in a metro market. I certainly wouldn't. But I think that it's even more important when you're in a rural market that you operate with a very high level of integrity, right? I do not have a revolving door of hundreds of thousands of people that I can just bring them in on one. Sorry, I just hit the computer. I can bring them in on one price. I can addendum them $10,000. I can blow them out the door, and I can just move on to the next customer, because word travels quickly. And the one thing that I'll say, we have phenomenal reviews in our store, but what gets me isn't the 5 stars. What gets me are the things that people write. When people say, I was nervous to come in, but I had heard such fantastic things about you, but I thought like, oh, come on, like, could it really be? And I walked in, and people talk about the way they feel when they walk into our dealership. I just read a review the other day that said, you were so nice to my son when he was here. And my son commented when he left that every single person that he saw in the dealership talked to him and smiled at him.
That's so important.
We underestimate the little things that make our customer experience. And sometimes we put it all on the sales rep who's working with the customer to deliver the customer experience, but it's really the entirety of our whole team. Even the detail person or the technician that walks by, they get a vibe from that person, right? Your culture is like your personality. And people, when I see a review that talks about how people feel when they come in, that's just like the best thing. And again, because I know we keep getting away from this community thing, but that's how people get here, right? And we ultimately sell them cars. But the community involvement piece is so important. And I don't do it with an expectation of profitability just off of the get-go. Back in 2018, we were coming out of the TDI crisis, and we did a year-long SUV tour and giveaway. You might even remember some of that, Shasta, but we took our Tiguan and our Atlas that had just been released. It was the first time VW had ever had third row vehicles. And we attended multiple events per week for an entire year and got out in our community. I still see people today come in on showroom visits that registered for our giveaway 5 years ago.
Yep.
And they come in and they say, oh, well, when I saw the Atlas, I had just bought this new Acadia. And now that it's, they don't probably use the word trade cycle. That's an industry term. But now that it's their trade cycle and they're ready to purchase again, all that we ask people in exchange for our community involvement and those things is, I'm never going to ask someone to buy a car for me. But what I will ask people is to give us the opportunity, because the more cars we sell, the more good we can do in the community. And we just simply say, hey, this is us. We just want to share a little bit about ourselves. We just want to make you comfortable in an interaction with us. And we hope that ultimately that brings people through the door, but it may not be immediately. It might be 5 years from them. It might be 7 years from them. That person may never come from the door. But what if they're sitting at work one day and the coworker who sits next to them totaled their car? And they're like, oh, I had a really bad experience. The place that I bought last time, you probably shouldn't go there. But man, I've heard really great things about Volkswagen of Marion. Maybe you should check out their website and see if there's anything they're interested in. And all of a sudden, we have people advocating for us, those raging fans in our community, who some of them have never even bought cars from us.
Yeah. Word of mouth is so important. It's imperative in our industry.
Yeah, as Courtney said, it all starts with that one opportunity. Exactly. And sometimes that opportunity isn't to sell a car. Sometimes that opportunity is just simply to make with a good taste in their mouth about, golly, like that was a really great interaction. And that's somebody that I wouldn't be scared to go talk to.
Yeah. Right. Well, and I'm sure that you know all the numbers because I know how involved you are with your numbers. On the other side of it, of, this is still a business that we have to run, and, knowing all this work we're doing, not being like the other guys, how much has that impacted your business when it comes to the numbers? Like, did you see with more things that you did get more market share, or, your retention numbers when it comes to sales and techs?
Well, absolutely. We have one of the top, with Volkswagen, we're one of the top market share dealers in the entire central region. So it obviously works. We're in little old Southern Illinois, and we're, gaining market share on dealers in Chicago and have better market share. So it's incorrect to say that there is an opportunity in a small market. There absolutely is. And in fact, I find that there's more opportunity in a small market because I can get out and I can have those interactions with people, and people can know me. And it just breaks down so many barriers. And yes, the numbers are important, but I look at the statement, I know my numbers, but that's 5 days out of the month. Right. The other 25 days out of the month, I am listening to what people say. I'm listening to when they go in the finance office and they're telling my finance manager that they're here buying another car because our service team has treated them so phenomenally. And it's the best customer experience that they've ever had in service. Not only do we have incredible reviews on the sales side, but my Google service rating is a 5-star.
Wow. That is.
Let me tell you, we have cars out back with back order parts. We have cars that sometimes we can't fix, right? But people know that we care. And that goes so far whenever you have a customer issue that you can't resolve sometimes, or that it's just a really bad situation. As my service director says, there's one thing that all dealerships on Route 13 have in common. If you drive around the back of their building, they all have cars back behind them that are broken and need repaired. Yep. But it's how we go about it. It's the compassion that we show our customer. And it's just knowing that we give a crap about them.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. That part is so important. When you think about buying a car is, it's such a well-known statement. So many people say it, that a car is the second biggest purchase that anybody's going to make in their life. Okay, well, we buy more cars than we buy houses. So let's be honest. It's maybe not second anymore. It is.
Right. We do it more often. So yeah, absolutely.
It's financially, a larger amount, next to a house. Yes, of course, I'm not out there buying other $40,000 to $50,000 things. So sure, we'll keep it second in that sense. But when people are making a purchase that large, and you have the ability to either swing them so positively or swing them so negatively, it's very rare that something just stays right in the middle, that they didn't have feelings in regards to that purchase, because you're going to remember it the next time you buy.
Yeah. And the other thing that I will say is, so I sold cars at our Honda store before we ever opened Volkswagen. And I was the person that got all the problem customers. If there was a customer that had a problem, they just got moved on over to me. They're like, hey, here you go. You take care of them. But what I've learned over time is when you take a customer who has a legitimate issue and comes into your office and they're raising their voice at you and you're tempted to clap back, because maybe we know that the customer is not always right? But we still show that compassion. And what I will say is those customers that have an issue, that we solve that issue, become our most loyal group of customers. So when I look at a customer who is upset in my office as an opportunity to make one of the most loyal customers that you can imagine.
Absolutely. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I don't remember who it was that I was talking to. And he said to me, what would you rather hear? I had a really great experience over at Volkswagen of Marion, or, I went over there. I didn't have the great initial experience, but then the way they resolved it was seamless.
Definitely that second one for me.
What's a better conversation?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would prefer we do it right the first time. I'm not going to say that I want to resolve customer problems all day.
However, I think that the way you rectify a situation says a lot more
and
about
I think that when people look through, like we were talking about Google reviews earlier, I think that there is validity in having people who complain about you online. Because when someone just reads through and they see, oh, they're fantastic, like it's just like, right, are they paying someone to come and do these reviews? But when you see a client that says, wow, I have this really big problem, they acted like they cared, here is how they went about resolving it. Those are the reviews that I'm most proud of. I'm not saying that that's the review that I necessarily want the most, but I am most proud of those.
Absolutely.
It's so important. And we know that so much. We started off this company doing social media marketing. And one of the biggest pieces we always wanted to make sure we had a handle on was handling of reviews. Because a lot of times you'll see the GM handle it and they won't have that ability to not clap back at the customer, like you said, that they're going to defend, their store's honor, their hard work. And you're not going to just sit here and say all this stuff about me. And so, we try to take that out of their hands and, okay, we're going to love on this customer. We're going to treat them really, really well because we want the opportunity to fix this. So we're going to see the review and, take it to a sales manager. Hey, can you give us your side of what happened with this? And where can we come to some middle ground? What can you do to help them? And I'll tell you, I mean, every time on Facebook, on Google that we see those, that's my favorite opportunity. I would rather see, and this sounds so backwards, but I would rather see someone being negative because it's such an opportunity to show everybody else, look what we can do to fix this. And look what we're willing to do to make sure we get it right.
And I have a rule in my store with my team, and I'm very clear about it, and I don't play around about it. If they have a customer issue that they can't resolve and they are tempted to clap back, they are to immediately tell that customer something similar to, it doesn't seem like I'm able to help you resolve this problem. Let me have someone call you back who might be able to better help you. And you bring that customer to me. Because the last thing that I want to do is have a customer issue that escalates to me, that the first 20 minutes of the phone call, I have to hold the phone out this far because they're complaining and they're yelling and they're telling me that the manager didn't care and the salesperson didn't care and what they said and how it went back and forth. And now I have to wait 20 minutes to even find out what the customer's problem was and how to even start to resolve it, because now I'm apologizing for my team or how they've acted. I say it like that happens, but I'm very, very clear about it. If you're tempted, if you cannot conduct yourself in a professional manner, you are to exit the conversation with the customer and you are to tell them that I will call them back and I will take it over and I will handle it from there.
It's so much just takes that care from that higher level to actually be willing to invest that time in the customer. I wanted to read so for the podcast itself, where people can't see the comments, Michael had dropped a comment. Ashlee, you are my new favorite GM. Much overlooked is the response to good reviews and bad reviews professionally. You don't only review for Joe, who wrote the review, but it is for Mike, who is reading reviews, to decide whether to call you or not.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah,
100%.
And Courtney had said something similar to what we were talking about. Upset customers are my favorite. Challenge accepted to make sure they leave smiling by the time they leave. 100%. And that's such a missed opportunity in our business.
Yeah. Sometimes I take cars back. Sometimes I go and I'm like, hey, sales manager. Hey, Ryan, got a doozy for you. You're not going to like me much, but I resolved the problem. Yeah. But my team knows that I don't want customers in the service lounge when they come back to service their car, that I have to exit my office and walk around back to the detail shop and over to the side of the building, because I don't want to walk through the service lounge because I don't want to make eye contact with the customer, because I know that I have a customer that's left unhappy.
Right.
So there are just so many, and there are so many things that we're told we can't do. Well, who said we can't take back the car? Who said that once the loan is funded that we can't do an unwind with a lender? Who says that we can't unwind an RDR on a car? We just don't want to. But what I found is we offer a customer a solution that works for them and works for us. Yep. The solution may be, I'll unwind your deal, but you need to pick another vehicle in inventory that we can swap it out for, and we can do kind of a substitution of collateral, and I will be happy to do that. Right. And we find something that works for me and works for them.
Yep. It just takes that care and having the team that is also that believes in your mission and believes in your culture. And we talked about this a bit, before the start of the show, about when you hire for culture and not always the experience, and how you, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier on the show that you had 90 interviews to get, what was it, 4-second interviews?
Yep. Yeah. 200 applications.
Yeah. So I think that is something that we have to talk about, because so many dealerships would hire every single person who showed up just to see who made it down the funnel, instead of taking the time and energy to really listen to what the person is saying, see if they are actually a match for you culturally. But it starts, like you said, it starts back at the application process and the job ad that you put out. So, without giving away trade secrets, what would you say is most important in ensuring that you get the right people when you're creating your job ads?
Yeah. We just have this theme, not like the other guys. My job ads talk about it. My job ads, it will expressively say, hey, you've never thought about a job opportunity in the car business? We don't blame you. But let me tell you why we're different. And we really start that communication with people from the moment that we meet them, but also going back to that community involvement, right? When somebody sees my job ad and they don't think that I'm a horrible person, and they know that the people at my dealership are pretty decent people, instead of just being like, oh, car sales, I would never do that. It's that interaction that you get with them that you may not get the opportunity. So, just like with sales, we're trying to get our vehicles in the consideration set of a client. We are trying to get in the consideration set of applicants. And I feel like that is a piece of the hiring puzzle that we just missed. I can't tell you how many groups I'm in that they say, oh, well, I'm posting on Indeed right now, and what's a better job board? Well, there probably isn't a better job board. I mean, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But what do people think about your dealership? Do the people in your community value you as an employer? What does your job ad say? What is the title of your ad? All of those things go into it. And one of my favorite stories, and we were chatting about this, I think, from Women in Automotive, we shared this when Erica and I presented, was our service. So one of the things that I require my managers to interview a diverse candidate pool before they make an offer. Mm-hmm. That is how we have an intentionally diverse or a deliberately diverse team in our store. I don't tell them that they have to hire women. I don't tell them that they have to hire minority candidates. But what I do mandate is that they interview a diverse set of applicants. And if all the people they're interviewing look the same, then we need to go back to the drawing board and we need to figure out how to get a more diverse pool of applicants before we may move forward with a hiring decision. So we were trying to hire for a service advisor, and we were just getting the same applicants over and over and over again. And so we were like, okay, well, how are we going to increase the diversity of this candidate pool? We ran an A/B test where we took the exact same job ad for an express service advisor. All we did is change the title from express service advisor to customer service liaison. And we went from a job ad that generated almost all male applicants to a job ad that generated almost all female applicants. And from that, my service manager interviewed a more diverse pool of candidates. And lo and behold, the person that he chose to fill the position was Samantha. And Samantha has now been on our team for, I think, coming up on 3 to 5 years. I lose track of time. It happens so fast, but she's grown with us and been with our organization. And she's a great advocate for our customers, and customers love her when they come in to see her. But it all started by us saying, you know what? We're not interviewing a diverse pool of candidates. What can we do to change that and to make those little tweaks?
Mm-hmm. I love that. That's perfect. And so many stores lack the creativity to think of something like an A/B test and to notice, we're only getting one type of person and especially when your reputation is different than that. You're not like the other guys. Mm-hmm. So why are those people not applying? And so you had to be that forward thinking to think, I need to go back to the very beginning of this and look at the ad and see, is this something that would attract a different audience? And if not, let's change it and test it against another. So many people won't think of that, or they just won't care.
Mhm.
In automotive, I know that we touched on this, but automotive is not top of mind as a career opportunity as
Right.
it is. So you guys are already having to battle that on top of everything else that goes into that hiring process and headache.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's we're trying really hard to make this a friendly environment for all. You know, this isn't.
Here's the thing, and I do want to say something really quick. So everybody thinks that women don't want to work in the car business because of the hours. And that might be a piece of it. But let me tell you, there was a study that was done when asked why women never considered working in the automotive industry. And the number two reason was lack of work-life balance. The number 3 reason was lack of flexible scheduling. But the number 1 reason was an unattractive work environment for women.
Huh. I'm not surprised.
No, I'm not either.
Like,
and
it doesn't surprise me.
we had another past episode that touched on that similar subject from Pedro Fox, where she was discussing, you know, her time in the business, and we see it. And I know you're in the same Facebook groups that I am, and there's one group in particular where it seems like there's always some sort of complaint of favoritism to a male colleague. There is, sexual harassment. There's harassment in general. There is some form of, I don't know if disrespect is the right word, but I'll use it right now because I can't come up with anything else, but disrespect to them because they're a woman in that role that men in the exact same role don't get.
Right.
And it's a problem. I mean, we know it because we see it, we're immersed in it, and it's our jobs to change it for them.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, there is a divide in most dealerships between where the women are in the dealership, right? I don't have a BDC, but if I did, let's just talk in general. Most BDCs are women. Most of the office positions are filled by women. And then we walk around and we talk about non-revenue generating employees.
Yep.
And we put them in a class of people that's not as important as the men that are in our dealership. And I hate the term non-revenue generating employees. Every single person that works here has an important role. And let me tell you, if the titles don't get processed and if the customer's loan doesn't get paid off, they didn't have a good experience and we're not getting that 5-star review, no matter what a phenomenal job the sales team member did. You know, and I jotted down something earlier and we kind of left the subject of, you know, customer satisfaction and resolving issues, but I jotted down chargebacks. If any of you are general managers, one of the fastest things that I can encourage you to do is to quit charging your salespeople back for chargebacks. If I unwind a deal and I take a car back, I still pay the sales rep the commission. If I have an issue and I pay for a $500 service bill, I don't deduct what the salesperson made on their monthly pay for the last month. Because if I want the opportunity to resolve issues, are people going to escalate issues to me if they know if I resolve the issue that their pay is going to get cut?
Nope.
That's one simple change that you can make today.
That was a mic drop right there.
Boom.
I mean, that's huge though, because they're not going to, like you said, they're not going to bring issues to you if they know it's going to cost them. Like if this is my mortgage payment or a satisfied customer.
Why should they have to make that decision? Yeah, because the check engine light came on the car after the customer left. Get real, people. There's a cost to doing business. And it's on our shoulders to handle that. Exactly.
Absolutely.
That is so big. And I think that you have so much that you have done in your time there. And like you said, the Volkswagen has only been there for what, 9 years?
Yeah.
9 years. You've done some amazing things in those 9 years. And that award behind your head just proves that when you won the 40 under 40. I love that. And it is such a true testament that you don't have to be 50, 60, 70 years old to make a change in this business.
Yeah. You know, the trophies are cool, but it's not about the trophies for me. It's about the fact that I know that I'm making a difference, that my team is making a difference, and that we can even in little Southern Illinois here, we can show an example that hopefully the rest of the industry can learn from.
Absolutely. I want to ask, are you going to be speaking at any conferences coming up? I
don't have anything on my agenda. I might be at a couple conferences coming up, but we've been a little bit shorthanded in the store. So I am looking to hire a sales manager. And once I hire a sales manager and I'm not as active on the floor, I very much look forward to getting back on the conference circuit again. But if you are interested in that, again, our career site is wearenotliketheotherguys.com. And you do not have to have prior sales manager experience to apply. I am looking for someone who's led a team. And if that is an internet sales team or a BDC team, you're probably the person that I want to talk to.
I'll see what I can
That's so
do
awesome.
to help connect you. We have a great group of people who have a ton of BDC experience or internet sales team that have led that I can look through and see if I can connect you guys. And if you're listening to the show, please share with anybody who you know that fits that bill. I'm sure that they don't have to be local to Southern Illinois. I know that there have been plenty of people who have moved across the country to come work for Ashlee and her team and to be a part of something as amazing as Volkswagen of Marion is doing.
Yeah, I would love the opportunity to chat, and I will tell you that I'm a great recruiter.
I believe it too. Ashlee, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It has been a pleasure speaking with you, and you dropped the mic several times during this episode. So we are so excited to get this up and live. Where can people reach you outside of the website if they have a question, if they would like advice? Where can they reach you at?
Yeah, my email is Ashlee with 2 E's, ASHLEE at VWMarion.com. You can also find me on Facebook. I'm not as active on LinkedIn, so if you send me a PM there, I'll probably check them after the show. But Facebook, email is the best way to reach out to me too. And the only thing that I would just leave behind is the standard that you walk past is the standard that you accept.
I love that.
That's huge.
There's that mic drop again.
I know. How many mics do you have that you could just keep dropping?
A lot.
This is such a stellar episode, and it speaks for everything that we're trying to do. The whole reason we started this show, the reason why we're, looking to grow a community of people in the industry who are doing the right things. And it's not always just going to be the women. When we first started this, we had such a focus on women, but there's so many men out there who are also pulling for the same goals. And some of them were commenting in here. Fred Lenartz, Kim Baker. They're all.
We're talking about those partners.
Yes.
Yeah. They're all very much allies. They are those partners, and they care. And it's going to be more than women. So that
I can tell you that some of the most valuable forces that we have in the industry speaking up for women are some of the great men that we have that are great friends and great advocates and want to understand more. And we'll come with those questions and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? How do you think that we can change this? And those are the people who are trying to push the industry forward just as much as us women are.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And it's so important to have those people in your corner and to also be an advocate for them too, I'm
gonna cry. You make us so proud. So my team is commenting now. They're just so awesome.
You are such a shining light for them. And we see it in their love for the store. I've been connected with Sherelle on Facebook for a few years and have always watched you so much to the point where when I see anything Volkswagen related, my brain immediately goes to you. So just know it reaches so far and wide, even further than Southern Illinois.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. That's our goal. We just want to make a difference.
And you are. And I hope that, sharing this episode can inspire other dealers to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful. It was so wonderful catching up with you ladies today. It has been too long, so let's not make it this long till we have our next conversation.
Well, I actually have something top of mind that I want to talk with you about later on this week. So Shasta and I will be reaching out to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Well, have a great day, ladies.
You too. All right, guys. We'll go ahead and wrap up now. In a world where you can be anything, remember to be kind. So whenever you go out into the world this week, remember to light it up. I am Jess.
I'm Shasta.
And we are the Chicks in Charge. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a great day.